Welcome all to the show. We're doing another local college radio dissect and promoting KEOM 88.5, 4 decades and running. Welcoming, we got Shondra and Tyler here to pick their brains on what makes the college station what it is.
Thank you for having us.
Anytime.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
You've been the proud, Mesquite School. It was founded by Ralph Poteen, the former superintendent, back in 1984. Why do you suppose, though, that so many just flocked to the station? Like, I knew the station back before I even listened to it. I just would see so many people just kind of mention it. They're like, "Hey, yeah, KEOM, it's the place to be." I'm like, "Really? Okay."
I think what makes us unique is that for a long time, we had just an all 70s format. So a lot of people that weren't getting that kind of music elsewhere back in the 90s liked our station because we were playing those 70s music. Now, over the years, we've also now added 80s and 90s music, but, still classic, even though we don't want to think of it as being classic when it's in the 90s.
Yeah, there's a lot of great songs that I don't think I've heard since I went to a Sears mall back in the 90s.
Yeah.
Those who are trying to start up their radio station, whether it be, internet or at a local venue, what licensing fees and programming tips would you guys like to give?
Do you want to talk about licensing fees?
Well, licensing fees is not necessarily my subject of expertise, but I think it's good to try to do what you can to have everything cost efficient, but also give your listeners a good library of music to choose from where it's not restrictive. Being an educational station for us, the licensing fees are a lot less than they are a commercial radio station. So that definitely helps, especially in the environment that we have here. We have a high school broadcasting class where we're able to help the high schoolers and teach the kids about how to work in radio, how to basically use all the equipment that's here. And, to be able to have the real radio station, that we do have such a large signal, and for that to project out there, to not just be like a small broom closet school station, but an actual legit radio station, it really helps them a lot. And so having that music library and to be able to have the licensed music that we do definitely helps with not only that, but then attracting other listeners who don't know even much about the school program necessarily, but they want to keep in track of community events, and they just love listening to some of those classic hits that they don't find as many other areas.
Absolutely. There's a lot of mixture of obscurities as well as just anything from, like, I remember when that was on a Ed Sullivan show or the PBS stations, This is
random weddings. You hear the same songs over and over. You hear KEOM. I hear Bee Gees all the time at almost any wedding I go to, and so that always puts a smile on my face.
It is funny how certain stuff has kind of, for lack of a better word, kind of like taken it a new identity. And you're like, really? Okay. Do tell.
Yeah, a lot of our students say they hear some of our stuff on TikTok.
Really?
They're like, "Oh, I know that from TikTok." Or a lot of the songs are being sampled by artists nowadays. So even our teenage students recognize a lot of our songs.
Lovely. I must applaud you guys for your radio station news portion, because the whole on this day in history, there was this mixed in with the sound clips, as well as just allowing your students to cover various topics and make it both diverse, as well as just reminding everybody, hey, you got to know about this regardless of how divisive today's climate is.
Right. Yeah, part of our curriculum is our students doing news, and we do a local news segment. So we just try to find things going on around our community and let our listeners know. A lot of our station is about just connecting with our Mesquite community, even though our signal reaches all across the Dallas Metroplex.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I'll hear a good mixture of, like, here's the local portion, and the transitions you guys make are just really good. Like, you could easily mistake it for an actual, like, local news station. And I don't know, how did you guys get very experienced with getting that voice, getting that narrative down?
Well, the station, like you said, has been around for almost 40 years. And, so we've developed our skills over time. Of course, I've been around for 18 years. And Tyler was actually one of our students that went through the program. And then he's been doing this as a profession, not only at KEOM, but other places. I can let him tell you about that.
Yeah, over for about 11 years now. I've been doing it as a professional. I was at ESPN Radio here in Dallas for 6 years before that station became defunct. And, that was a great experience to get out in the field and doing everything. But, just as far as connecting with our community, starting as a smaller station and gradually growing over time, the roots since 1984 have been in the city of Mesquite. And part of, having the school district own the station is we get to broadcast all the local sports games. For an example, that
yes, every Saturday, every weekend.
Yeah, doing promotional stuff for the city of Mesquite, making sure that we get the word about all the events that are happening in the city. I mean, I learn sometimes just going through some of the announcements that we make about things that are going on within the community that are really fun, that are going on, that anybody can attend to. A lot of them are free as well. It's just a good resource for anyone who wants to be able to be a part of a community, to get word on what is actually going down in the community. And for that reason, I think is one of the reasons we've had so much success over the years, is because we're a reliable source for that.
When you guys do like this weekend, you expect this and that, like it's just a good reminder of everybody that, hey, keep being proactive in your community. There's so many things to be in the know about. Have you really been impressed by the turnout and just the endless amount of students who want to get involved?
To be honest, a lot of times for a while we were really struggling to get students into our program. And it's surprising because we have a really big school district with 5 high schools, and we take students from all 5. But it had more to do, I think, with getting transportation to our studios. And so since the district has started providing transportation, we've had a better turnout in recent years. And another thing, that's been a little strange over the last few years is that our students don't actually listen to the radio very much anymore. So when they think about, when they think about, working at a station, it's not really anything that they've considered before. But yeah, the students, nowadays they've got their Spotify and their playlists on their phones or whatever. And that's, kind of where they listen, their YouTube playlist or whatever. So they're not used to listening to radio too much anymore. So it's been a struggle, but also something that a lot of the students have enjoyed learning about.
Lovely.
Now, podcasting is something that they have been really interested in doing, and we try to incorporate that into our program as well.
Lovely. Are there any other stations you guys have thought of doing sponsorships or collaborations with as well?
Well, we, of course, they all have their own station. We have many to choose from in the area, and we've done some collaborations with, for example, the Odyssey stations. They are the news station that's an Odyssey station around here is KRLD, which is a news station, news talk. And they just love KEOM. The people that work there love KEOM. So they've let us take our students there, see their studios, and be good mentors to them. So we've done that. We do have sponsors, but that it's not through radio stations. It's local businesses and things that want to help support our station.
So Tyler, I think last I checked, you went to UNT?
That's correct. Bowling Green.
Right? Class of 2012. How would you describe that versus here? Is it a similar kind of broadcasting venue there?
It's rather similar. I will say from my personal experience, at the time I went to college, KEOM might have been just slightly nicer of a setup. But KNTU up there in Den, they've done a really good job lately of upping their facilities as well. I mean, it was pretty seamless transition, to be honest, from high school to college. I was able to get involved a lot earlier than most everybody else because I had all the radio experience from high school at basically a station with even more wattage than my college station had. And so going to North Texas, it was really easy to get involved early on and just keep accelerating in my growth in that way. And funny enough, one of the reasons I chose UNT is because it actually is probably the best college radio program that we have in the state of Texas. I also toured at another fine university in TCU, but at least at that time in 2007, 2008, when I was exploring colleges, TCU, they had a very small radio program at that time. So for me, UNT was the easy choice because it had a bigger studios, just more room to get involved. And I know TCU has produced a lot of good talent lately because I had a lot of coworkers at ESPN Radio that actually came from TCU. So I think they've done a lot of growth recently with their radio program in the last decade or so. But yeah, I mean, KEOM, it is, you wouldn't think a high school radio station when you think of high schoolers being in radio would be comparable to college and even other small market radio stations.
Yeah.
But the facilities that we have, it really is as good of prep for anyone that wants to get into radio that you can possibly have.
Absolutely. You're kind of proving the cliche invalid now by leading by example.
Exactly.
So Ms. Thorpe, given how you taught journalism, what are some good, what university did you go to, and what are some other places outside of Mesquite School that you would recommend for those trying to get into that job?
Well, I went to Texas A&M Commerce actually, and I was actually did not do radio as my field of study or even journalism. I was actually a elementary school teacher is what I went to and got my education doing. However, I was able to start teaching English in middle school and high school. And that's kind of where I got my experience. And I got the job at the radio station teaching really before I knew anything about radio. So I kind of have a unique situation where I learned just before I started teaching the kids. But having my English background, my English teacher background, I did know enough about journalism to know how to do most of the things that were on that side of things, and working the equipment and learning to use my voice better. Things like that have come along over the years.
Mm-hmm.
As far as finding a school, I mean, Texas A&M Commerce has a good program with radio, TV, and film that I know of. I really don't know of others. Some of our students have gone to Stephen F. Austin. They liked that program there. So,
yeah, UT Arlington's another one that has a lot of facilities, and honestly, there's a lot of even just kind of more trade school like setups where it's just a broadcasting school that sometimes people go to learn about radio. And it really doesn't matter necessarily where you start and where you go to learn, but it is really about just developing those individual skills and having good mentors around you that can help you, guide you along with developing your voice, developing, the different skills you need with editing and things like that. So, there's some places that have better facilities than others, but really it's all about the work that you put into it and what you want to make of it.
Absolutely. The ambition, and finding the motivation seems to also be hard.
yeah.
But also reminding other people that, hey, you can climb any mountain you really want to if you keep pushing. So tell us a little bit about the only Time Rewind host, David Mindell. How did he get involved?
He actually does his own show. So that's something he's actually lives near Houston and has his own studio there. So he produces it. He does some neat collaborations with several school districts. He sends us the audio, but he also sends some of the video programs in some of the schools in our area. He sends that audio to them and they create videos for him. So,
gotcha. So he's syndicated, but that's cool.
Yeah, but he is a big fan of KEOM, and he's actually come to visit us several times when he's been in the Dallas area.
Sweet. How can other people get involved with just kind of making programs that various school districts carry, would you say?
if they have an idea of something that they think would be interesting, I just think they just kind of go about, think of what they want to talk about and do some research, find a good topic, and get it recorded.
Yeah, it's
All right.
syndication the same as podcasting. It's if you're a self-starter and you have a great idea and you can record and produce it, then people are gonna, if you market that out, if it's a good idea, people are gonna like it. So it's all about just what you can do yourself to make that possible. Really, if you want to make your podcast and grow it into something huge, or if you want to make a syndicated program and have it be syndicated to stations across the country, it's really just about that hard work and making sure that you know how to market it.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. And the programs we do on KEOM, we don't do anything really long form. We just do like 1 to 2, maybe 3-minute little shows that some we produce here, but some, like you said, we're syndicated. So we do little short form ones, but there are other stations that, will take, 30-minute or hour or even longer segments for people that are interested in doing something longer.
Lovely. And your promo video is really great because it gets straight to the meat and potatoes. It pretty much tells everybody, hey, you'll get on-job experience basically, as well as learn about the legalities of the FCC and the other do's and don'ts. Why do you think do you think that's just kind of lacking at other colleges where some people just aren't good at kind of breaking it down and having it make sense for those who aren't tech savvy?
I don't know if that's necessarily the case. I think, obviously attention spans are smaller nowadays than they used to. So you do have to make stuff that's quick hitting and, within a minute be able to get your point across and things like that. So I think our promotional videos do a good job with that, but I think others have successful promo videos, as well. I think it just, really depends on how much, interest there is in the particular area. And I think other places, colleges and stuff do a good job with that. I still see the enrollment in programs like this and universities still be at pretty good numbers.
Lovely. And any other topics that you guys think you'll be covering in the future that are going to be really heavily promoted, or other school events?
Well, we do little community events. We have one coming up. It's actually later this week that our school district is putting on. It's a what do they call it? An initiative, I guess, that Mesquite ISD has that they call Read, Play, and Talk for little kids, just encouraging parents to read, play, and talk with their kids. But they have a festival that we are going to this weekend if the rain holds on.
If the rain doesn't intrude.
That we're going to. And so we like to do community events like that, just get our face out there. Some of our like our morning crew that's on air is actually adult staff, and they've got a big fan following. So people just love to see us out in the community, and our students are going to come with us. So, or some of them. And so, and the listeners really like to be able to see them and put faces with the voices that they hear on the radio. A lot of people, in radio, you always have a picture of what somebody might look like, or, you try to picture what they're going to look like. And a lot of times they surprise you. So our listeners, when we go out to things like that, they love to see and put faces with the voices that they hear.
Lovely. And speaking of voices, how do you think everyone gets comfortable just coming up with a voice for radio?
I think, everyone, a unique voice is good for radio. I mean, a lot of kids come in, the ones that think they have an idea of what radio is going to sound like, and they come in and they put on this big announcer voice, and it sounds really not genuine because they do some strange things with it. And we just try to encourage our kids to have confidence in their voice, be clear when they're speaking, and go with it, but be themselves. You don't want to sound like a robot or like some big DJ announcer. And a lot of times that's something that we try to teach our kids is just to have a voice that's them, and we can improve their voice. Sometimes they slur their words or don't speak loud enough. So we work on those kind of things.
Nice. Very nice.
I think speaking with a smile is also really important because you get a certain amount of energy boost and enthusiasm boost when you speak with a smile. And I think that's something that we try to get the kids to do. Sometimes even use a little hand movement because sometimes that gets your body moving a little bit and you talk a little bit easier for that. But, I just echo everything that Shondra said because that's using your own voice, and your authentic voice is what's going to sound the best on air.
Totally. Making sure that it actually gels as opposed to, and then this, and we're not really igniting a conversation together.
Right.
Shutting it down before it really gets a chance to breathe.
Yeah. And we have students that are talented with that, immediately they get it. And then other kids that work on it through the year. But we try to give everyone a chance to develop that as they go through our program.
Wonderful. What would you say is the highest ranked major right now at the college, or of the school? Sorry, college.
No idea, to be honest. That's something I have no privy knowledge to. I don't think Shondra does either. So
I mean, we're just a not a college, a regular school district, and our school district has tons and tons of options for career and technology classes. So, I mean, there's so many options, between our KEOM program. We have a video program that they get several certifications. We even have like fireman training and paramedic training. I'm trying to remember. There's so many.
The robotics program, even there's a specialist high school that opened up recently called Vanguard in Mesquite ISD that basically if you have a specific career kind of that you want to go into, they have specific programs so you can focus on those rather than just necessarily go to a traditional high school. And it's really effective, like the fireman training that she was talking about. You don't get that at very many public schools anywhere. So to have something like that is cool, but it does create a lot of options. So, we're one option of many in this school district of possible paths people can take.
No, that's so true. I see so many other colleges, and long story short, some of them are kind of picky and choosy about how you go about it instead of kind of letting everybody kind of find their voice and figure out if they can be any good at this profession. So it is cool to know that you guys are actually trying to lead everyone in and give them room to think, as well as food for thought.
Yeah.
And just given how you guys were formerly 88.3, then you got more megahertz and you changed it up. Do you think there might even be a chance you guys remodel yourself in the future again?
It's going to be kind of tough with being in the Dallas-Fort Worth market. There is not a lot of room. I mean, we pretty much have every bit of power that we can have in our area.
Mm-hmm.
And, even the frequencies that are available to be used in this area are pretty much non-existent. So I think we're probably going to be stuck at 88.5 with 61,000 watts for a while.
No, that's fine. I just curious. And you guys are in a pretty cool place. Altogether, I really do legit hope that people keep discovering the station, and I hope even just restaurants can play it.
I know we get played in some dentists and doctors' offices. They call us and say that they're listening to us there. So
lovely. Yeah. You guys had a wonderful kind of like 89.3 and some of the other local stations. You guys were very responsive. Your staff is on it. Just always recommending people just call in and just interact, which I kind of feel is kind of, I don't know, kind of more slated into kind of a shock jock kind of mentality nowadays. And to have actually people just having healthy conversations, and it's not just like a closed off audience. it's just, I'm just kind of joyful of that.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
It's just kind of missing. Yeah, it seems like either way you do go about it, someone kind of misses out, or it's a one-sided conversation, or you're not fully in the loop because it's only for a certain time frame and a certain audience. So I must applaud you guys for that. Any of the DJs and other radio staff you'd love to promote?
Well, I mean, we've got our morning, we call them our morning crew. It's really Gil Palmer and Copeland Wright's the meteorologist that comes in and does the weather report. So they are our morning guys. Tyler comes in and does an hour shift between 8 and 9 before the students get here. And then we have our students basically throughout the school day. And then Patrick Ross is a professional that comes in and does our evening drive show.
Sweet.
Yeah.
And how would you describe kind of the transition period? Because like where everyone hands off and make sure everything's ready to roll and go live.
Well, we are in automation when we are not in there live. Sometimes there's just music playing. We've recorded some weather reports and some talking announcements and things like that we put in the playlist. And so a lot of times, I mean, actually, if you were listening in the last few hours, we haven't had anybody live in the studio. We've just been in automation, but a lot of people think we are live because we've done some voice tracking. But so, I mean, there's really a seamless transition between switching over. I mean, you just make sure your area's clean and that it's in where it's just going to keep playing the songs in automation, and then you're out of there and the next person can come in when they're ready.
And Gil in the mornings always gives me the nice introduction of coming up as your friendly voice in the morning, Tyler Sloan. So I always appreciate him for that sort of intro. So we have one of the more pure transitions in the morning because it's professional to professional. And then when the kids come in, sometimes they don't always go right to the studio to start their class. So if I see them in the hallway, I kind of tease that the students are coming up. But if I don't, I know that they might be learning something for a while. I just don't do a transition then. And then usually Patrick picks it right up around 4:00 locally here in Central Time. And he just kind of takes it from usually automation or sometimes with the students and carries you through the afternoon drive.
That is lovely. Because you want everybody to be at peace and in their zone when they're ready to roll. So, so this has been very joyful, guys. I feel like I pressed you enough on the school and its operations, and there's still just plenty of just lovely turnout and feedback on programming that's right around the corner. So if you guys want to do any other promotion, but other than that, I feel like we've just about gotten to the end of the tunnel here.
Okay. Well, if anybody wants to listen, we are in the Dallas area on 88.5, but we are also online at KEOM.FM.
You got an app.
They can tune. They can listen in through that way all over the world.
Yeah. It really joyful, very diverse. You feel good at the end of the day.
Well, thank you.
And thank you so much.
We'll return after these messages.
If you like small town mystery, crazy news, and wild history, then the Florida Men on Florida Man podcast is for you. Each week, Josh Mills and Wayne McCarty bring you the absolute best Florida has to offer. So if you're looking for a show that's safe for the family, but funny enough to help you escape everyday life, then listen to the Florida Men on Florida Man podcast. That's Florida Men, plural, on Florida Man podcast.
Hey, it's Brent Pope, the host of Breakfast with Brent Pope. You've seen me on some of your favorite TV shows saying things like, "Give it up, Jimmy. You got to sink this putt to win." On Breakfast with Brent Pope, I sit down with guests from the entertainment world, and we do it all over breakfast. Or should I say breakfast? Every week on Breakfast, you get inside Hollywood info and tips, great breakfast wrecks and booty debates. Most of all, you get the most delightful 30 minutes of your week. So dig in, it's breakfast time. Listen at breakfast.com, Apple Podcasts, or wherever fine podcasts are found.
The Jacked Up Review Show podcast is honored to be part of the Blind Knowledge Podcast Network. Join anytime, talk the talk, and enjoy yourselves. There's something enlightening for everyone with this crowd of cool cats. Check them out.
Follow us on the web on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The podcast is available on Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Apple, and anywhere else podcasts are available. Feel free to review our show and leave comments on any of those sites. Thanks a million for listening. It's a jacked up